The dark truth behind Billionaire Doomsday bunkers. For decades, Americans have paid close attention to disaster preparedness. During the Cold War, the biggest fear was nuclear conflict. Today, the threats are more diverse, ranging from pandemics and climate change to global economic instability. What is interesting is that this trend is no longer just about middle-class families stocking up supplies in their basements. Now, many American tech billionaires, like Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, Mark Zuckerberg, and Peter Thiel, have invested tens of millions of dollars in luxury survival bunkers, equipped with amenities that look more like a five-star hotel than a shelter. For them, this is a way to protect their families if the worst-case scenario ever happens. Personally, I think this situation has two sides. On one hand, it shows caution and long-term vision. On the other, it raises the question, are the wealthiest people choosing private solutions instead of strengthening systems that could protect everyone? If they applied a more structured framework, such as investing in green technology, sustainable infrastructure, or community education, perhaps society would not need those multi-million-dollar bunkers in the first place. There are three main reasons why the American ultra-wealthy are diving into the so-called bunker race. The first is risk management. In business, billionaires are used to preparing for the worst, so building a survival bunker is no different from purchasing an insurance policy for the future. The second is their already isolated lifestyle. They are accustomed to flying private jets, traveling with security teams, and relying on personal assistance. Living in a modern underground shelter is simply an extension of that lifestyle. Finally, the cost is almost insignificant to them. Spending tens of millions of dollars is equivalent to just a few days of profit, so it feels natural to invest in safety. From my perspective, this makes sense, but also raises questions. On one hand, it is rational because everyone wants to protect themselves. On the other hand, it is controversial because instead of focusing only on personal survival, these billionaires could channel their resources into healthcare systems, resilient infrastructure, or green technology. By following a framework that benefits society as a whole, the community would grow stronger and, ironically, they might not even need to hide in those luxury bunkers in the first place. Even with advanced technology and massive wealth, billionaires still rely entirely on the social system. They depend on supply chains for goods, energy to operate, labor to sustain services, and countless other systems that make modern life possible. But once society collapses, these connections vanish. In that scenario, money in the bank or shares in tech companies would hold little real value. This is why the bunker solution, while seemingly clever, feels impractical. No matter how luxurious, an underground shelter can never replace the stability of a functioning community above ground. In my view, this highlights an ironic paradox. Instead of pouring money into building personal fortresses, the ultra-rich could invest in strengthening society itself. Clean energy, agricultural technology, and community education. That would create a much stronger shield against global crises. If the shared system is resilient, they would not need to hide underground to survive. More importantly, such actions would protect not only themselves, but also millions of others. True security does not come from isolation. It comes from building a world where everyone is better prepared. And that kind of collective resilience is something no bunker can buy. One of the lesser-known risks of luxury survival bunkers is what some call power in the bunker. The question is very real. If society collapses and money loses its value, what would keep security teams or personal staff loyal to their billionaire employer? Reports have even suggested extreme ideas, such as installing behavioral control devices. But this approach is both dangerous and counterproductive. Loyalty cannot be bought with technology or fear. It can only be built through trust and shared interests. In my opinion, this exposes a major flaw in the so-called bunker dream. A shelter might be stocked with food, water, and cutting-edge technology, but without human cohesion, everything can fall into chaos quickly. Instead of trying to control people, a wiser approach would be to create a fair and inclusive environment where everyone feels they have a genuine role. That sense of purpose and cooperation is what truly guarantees long-term safety. A bunker cannot function if power is built only on fear. Real security will always come from relationships and mutual respect, not gadgets or forced obedience. Some billionaires today embrace the idea of accelerationism, the belief that accelerating crises could create opportunities to rebuild society on a new foundation. At first, this may sound like a bold strategy, but in reality, it carries enormous risks. Instead of focusing on prevention and reducing harm, they seem willing, even eager, to let collapse happen, treating it as a stepping stone to secure their own position. The real issue is that when crises occur, it is always the most vulnerable communities that suffer the greatest damage, not the ultra-wealthy. In my view, this is a dangerous mindset. Preparing for the future should not mean letting everything fall apart, but rather building stronger, safer systems in advance. If billionaires genuinely want to lead society, they could invest in clean energy, sustainable agricultural technology, or community education. That would create the kind of stable foundation that benefits everyone, while also allowing their own ventures to grow. A broken world can never be the right soil for planting long-term dreams. True leadership means preventing collapse, not waiting for it to happen in hopes of rising from the ashes. In my opinion, building luxury bunkers is not a sustainable solution. It is merely a reflection of personalized fear rather than social responsibility. Wealthy individuals hold significant influence, yet they often choose to protect only themselves instead of using their resources to reduce the likelihood of disasters in the first place. From a systemic perspective, no wealthy individual can escape dependence on the collective. They may survive biologically for a few years, but the new society that emerges will no longer be one where wealth and status can buy them power. If this video opened your eyes to the hidden world of billionaire survival schemes, there's so much more you need to know. Subscribe to the Fraud Files and join a community uncovering the secrets, lies, and power plays shaping our future. Don't just watch the story. Be part of the movement that exposes it. Hit the bell icon so you never miss the truth behind the next big cover-up.